The Cosmic Awakening. The Galactic Assembly Hall on Proxima Station shimmered with the bioluminescent glow of 50 different species, their representatives gathered in ascending rings of polished obsidian. Captain Ilara Way stood alone at the center platform, her olive-green uniform bearing Earth's insignia. A simple blue sphere that seemed childishly primitive compared to the elaborate crests of the galactic powers surrounding her. "The human petition for equal trading rights is denied," announced High Counselor Vex Thor, his crystalline body refracting light in disdainful patterns. Furthermore, the Assembly has voted to resign humanity's provisional membership status. Ilara's jaw tightened, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. "On what grounds, Counselor?" A ripple of what could only be described as alien laughter moved through the chamber. The Thaxian representative, a 12-limbed entity with compound eyes covering much of its exoskeleton, leaned forward from its hovering platform. "Your species has barely mastered rudimentary faster-than-light travel," it said, voice translating through the neural interface all attendees wore. "You maintain only 7 functioning colonies. Your energy production capabilities are—" It paused. "Quaint." More laughter. Ilara had been prepared for resistance, but not outright dismissal. Humanity had struggled for 2 centuries to earn a place among the stars, only to discover that the galaxy was already carved into territories controlled by species thousands of years more advanced. Earth and its colonies existed on borrowed time, permitted to operate only in the spaces deemed worthless by the galactic powers. "We request the Assembly reconsider," Ilara said. "Our scientific advances have accelerated exponentially in recent decades. We offer unique perspectives." "Your perspective is irrelevant," interrupted Zarlok of the Trescian Collective, his gelatinous form pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. "The Assembly has further determined that human expansion constitutes an inefficient use of resources. Your colonial territories will be reassigned within the standard solar cycle." Ilara felt her blood run cold. "That's a direct violation of sector autonomy laws. Those are sovereign human territories. Laws which apply to recognized species," Vex Thor clarified. "Your status has been revoked." As Ilara opened her mouth to protest, the chamber lights dimmed, signaling the end of the session. The decision was made. Humanity had just been sentenced to extinction by bureaucratic decree. 200 light-years away, on the remote mining colony of Ceres 9, Zura Chen descended into the twisted tunnels of Shaft 37. The mining operation had been her home for 3 years since leaving Earth. A self-imposed exile after the Io incident left her reputation in tatters and her military career destroyed. Now she supervised a skeleton crew of miners and autonomous drones, extracting rare minerals from the asteroid's core. "Seismic readings are fluctuating again," came Thomas's voice through her helmet comm. "Whatever you found down there is playing havoc with our sensors." Zara adjusted her headlamp, illuminating the crystalline formations that had halted their drilling operation. "I've never seen anything like this, Tom. The mineral composition is impossible." The tunnel walls had suddenly revealed a perfectly spherical chamber during routine blasting the previous day. Inside, embedded in the rock as if it had grown there, was a latticework of shimmering material that defied analysis. The discovery had immediately triggered protocols requiring notification to Earth's Science Directorate, but Zara had delayed the report. Something about the discovery felt personal, almost as if it had been waiting specifically for her. "The quantum scanner is going crazy," she reported, moving closer to the glittering structure. "It's reading energy patterns that shouldn't exist naturally." "Careful, Zara," Thomas warned. "Remember what happened on Io." She grimaced at the reminder. The disaster that had killed 17 people and branded her reckless wasn't something she could forget. But this was different. This wasn't human technology gone wrong. This was something else entirely. "I'm just taking readings," she assured him, though her hand was already reaching toward the structure, drawn by some inexplicable compulsion. The moment her gloved fingertip made contact, the crystalline formation pulsed with blinding light. Pain shot through Zora's arm as the structure seemed to liquefy. flowing like quicksilver up her suit's material and seeping through to her skin beneath. She screamed, trying to pull away, but the substance had already bonded to her. Her vision blurred as sensation overwhelmed her, not just physical pain, but something deeper. Information, vast and incomprehensible, flooding directly into her consciousness. "Zara, what's happening?" Thomas's panicked voice barely registered as she collapsed to her knees. The substance continued spreading across her body beneath the suit, sending electrical pulses through her nervous system. As darkness began closing in, Zara glimpsed something impossible. The material wasn't invading her body. It was merging with it, becoming part of her cellular structure. Her last coherent thought before losing consciousness was that she wasn't dying. She was changing. Admiral Helena Kwan stood before the holographic display in Earth's Central Command, her weathered face illuminated by the three-dimensional representation of humanity's territory. 7 colony worlds and 16 outposts, fragile islands in a vast ocean of alien-controlled space. "They're not even bothering to hide their intentions anymore," she said to the assembled military and civilian leadership. "The Tretian fleet movements here and here." She gestured at clusters of red markers, indicate preparation for full annexation. President Omar Reyes, his dark eyes sunken with exhaustion, studied the display. "Captain Wei's report from the assembly confirms it. We have less than 8 months before they move against our colonies. And if we surrender these territories?" asked Defense Minister Liu. Admiral Kwan's expression hardened. "They'll take Earth next. This isn't just about resources. The advanced species view us as an evolutionary mistake, a primitive species that's expanded beyond its natural boundaries." The room fell silent, the weight of extinction hanging over them. Humanity had only encountered alien civilization 30 years ago, and the shock of discovering they were millennia behind technologically had triggered a desperate scramble to catch up. But despite remarkable progress, the gap remained unbridgeable. "What are our options?" President Reyes finally asked. "Militarily?" Admiral Kwan shook her head. "None. Their weakest ships could obliterate our strongest defenses. Even our latest quantum phase technology is primitive by their standards." "Then we negotiate," said Foreign Minister Okafor. "Offer exclusive mining rights, technological exchange programs." "They don't want what we have," interrupted Admiral Kwan. "They'd want us gone." The president stood, moving closer to the holographic display. "Then we need to make removal too costly. We can't match their technology, but we can make occupation painful. Scorched earth protocols, guerrilla tactics." A young aide burst into the room, face pale. "Mr. President, we're receiving an urgent transmission from mining colony Ceres 9. They've discovered something unusual." Zara awoke in the colony's medical bay, surrounded by monitoring equipment and the concerned face of Dr. Levitt. "Welcome back," the doctor said, checking readings on her tablet. "You've been unconscious for nearly 16 hours." Zara tried to sit up, feeling strangely energized despite the ordeal. "The structure in the tunnel." "Completely gone," Dr. Levitt interrupted. "When the rescue team reached you, there was nothing there but a hollow chamber. But that's not the strangest part." She turned the tablet to show Zara her medical scans. "Your cellular structure is changing at the molecular level. Whatever that substance was, it's bonded with you." Zara stared at the scan, showing an impossible lattice of energy threading through her biological systems. "Am I dying?" "Quite the opposite. Your cellular regeneration is off the charts. Wounds from the initial contact healed within minutes. Your metabolic efficiency has increased by 300%. Dr. Levitt's voice dropped to a whisper. "Zara, your body is evolving." Before Zara could process this information, the medical bay door slid open, and Colony Administrator Pierce entered, his expression grave. "We've received word from Earth," he announced. "The Galactic Assembly has revoked humanity's status. The Tretian Collective is preparing to seize our colonial territories." "They can't do that," Zora protested, though she knew the protests were hollow. The alien federations could do whatever they wanted. Earth is implementing Defense Protocol Omega, Pierce continued. All colonies are to prepare for evacuation or resistance. He paused, fixing Zara with an intense look. And they're particularly interested in your discovery. A science vessel is being dispatched. Zara felt a strange sensation coursing through her body, a tingling awareness that extended beyond her physical form. For a moment, she could sense the metal structure of the medical bay, the electronic signals flowing through the equipment, even the subtle gravitational variations of the asteroid. No, she said quietly, surprising herself. No evacuation. No science team. Administrator Pierce frowned. That's not your decision, Chen. After what happened on Io, something is happening to me. Zara interrupted, watching in shock as faint luminescent patterns began appearing under her skin, tracing her veins with a subtle glow. I don't think we should run from this. As if responding to her words, the lights in the medical bay flickered. The monitoring equipment surrounding her bed sparked and went dark. Dr. Levitt stepped back in alarm as Zara rose from the bed, the luminescence beneath her skin growing brighter. Chen, what's happening to you? Pierce demanded, backing toward the door. Zara held up her hand, watching in fascination as energy visibly danced between her fingers. I think, she said slowly, feeling knowledge she couldn't possibly possess unfurling in her mind. I think humanity just found its leverage. In the following weeks, as the Tretian fleet advanced toward human territory, Zara's transformation accelerated. The crystalline substance had fully integrated with her DNA, rewriting her biological functions at the quantum level. She could perceive energy fields, manipulate electronic systems with a thought, and generate bursts of power that defied conventional physics. Earth scientists, communicating via quantum-encrypted channels, theorized that the artifact was some kind of evolutionary catalyst, possibly left behind by a long-vanished precursor civilization. But Zara sensed it was more than that. It was a key, and her body was the lock it had been designed to open. Admiral Kwan arrived personally on Ceres 9, accompanied by a team of Earth's top scientists and military strategists. When she witnessed Zara disintegrate a solid titanium block with a gesture and reassemble it with another, the Admiral's stoic demeanor cracked. Is it controllable? She asked, watching Zara hover several feet above the ground, surrounded by a nimbus of energy. I'm learning, Zara replied, her voice carrying an unusual harmonic quality. Every day I understand more. The artifact wasn't random. It was meant for humans. Our genetic structure has potential that other species lack. Potential for what? The Admiral pressed. Zara descended, the energy field diminishing, but not disappearing entirely. The universe is built on information, quantum data that defines reality itself. I can read that information now, and I'm beginning to learn how to rewrite it. Before Admiral Kwan could respond, alarms blared throughout the colony. A communications officer burst into the testing chamber. Admiral, Tretian scout ships have entered the system. 3 vessels on approach. This was it, the first incursion into sovereign human territory. Admiral Kwan straightened, her military training taking over. Battle stations. Prepare evacuation protocols. No, Zara said calmly. Let me handle this. The Admiral stared at her in disbelief. They have quantum phase shields and gravitic weapons. Our entire defensive fleet couldn't stop one of their ships. Zara smiled, her eyes now glowing with the same luminescence that traced patterns across her skin. They've never encountered anything like me before. Without waiting for authorization, she walked toward the airlock. The scientists shouted warnings. The vacuum of space, the radiation, the impossibility of facing advanced alien vessels alone. But Zara no longer feared these things. As the outer door opened, she stepped into the void without a suit, surrounded only by her self-generated energy field. The cold emptiness of space embraced her, and for the first time, Zara Chen felt truly free. The limitations of her human body seemed trivial now as cosmic energy flowed through her transformed cells. The Tretian scout ships loomed ahead, their sleek, organic-looking hulls bristling with weapons technology that could reduce the entire colony to atoms in seconds. Zara reached out with her newfound senses, feeling the complex energy patterns of their shields, the exotic matter powering their drives, the very thoughts of the alien minds controlling them. They had come expecting helpless prey. They were about to discover humanity's hidden strength. Zara Chen raised her hands, cosmic power gathering around her like a newborn star, and prepared to show the galaxy that humanity would not be erased. Ascension and reckoning. The Tretian scout ships hung in the void like predatory creatures, their biomechanical hulls pulsing with energy as they detected Zora's approach. For a moment, nothing happened. Perhaps their sensors couldn't comprehend what they were seeing. A lone human floating in space without protection, surrounded by impossible energies. Then, simultaneously, all three vessels opened fire. Streams of concentrated plasma and graviton beams converged on Zora's position, with enough force to vaporize a small moon. The vacuum around her distorted as space itself buckled under the assault. Yet when the attack subsided, she remained untouched at the center of a swirling vortex of cosmic energy. Zara felt no fear, only a strange sense of disappointment. She had hoped, somehow, that first contact might end differently. With a thought that transcended language, she reached into the quantum structure of the nearest vessel's shield system and unraveled it like pulling a loose thread from fabric. The ship's defenses collapsed instantly. Its crew, sensing their vulnerability, attempted evasive maneuvers, but Zara was already inside their systems, experiencing their panic through the neural interfaces that connected them to their vessel. She could destroy them with a gesture, but that wasn't her purpose. Instead, she projected herself into their communications network, her consciousness appearing on their visual feeds as a luminous human figure. "Return to your fleet," she transmitted in flawless Tretian language, knowledge she couldn't possibly possess flowing naturally from her transformed mind. "Tell your leaders that humanity is not defenseless. Tell them we possess power they cannot comprehend." The Tretian commander, a high-caste warrior whose gelatinous form pulsed with aggressive bioluminescence, responded with contempt. "One genetic anomaly does not change the Assembly's decision. Your species is obsolete." Zara sighed, a strangely human gesture amidst her transcendent state. "Then I will provide a more persuasive demonstration." With elegant precision, she extended her awareness into the quantum substrate of reality surrounding the three ships. The fabric of space-time responded to her will, folding and reshaping itself. In an instant, the Tretian vessels found themselves transported back to the edge of the system. Their navigation systems scrambled, their quantum drives temporarily disabled. As Zara returned to the colony, she knew she had only delayed the inevitable. The Tretian collective wouldn't retreat based on one encounter. They would return with overwhelming force. But she had bought time. And with each passing hour, her understanding of her new capabilities expanded exponentially. On Earth, news of the encounter spread rapidly through military channels, igniting fierce debate in the highest echelons of power. Admiral Kwan's secure transmission to the Joint Chiefs of Staff played on loop in the Situation Room beneath the Pacific Defense Complex. One human with these abilities was able to neutralize 3 advanced Tretian vessels without casualties on either side. The Admiral reported, her normally stoic face animated with rare excitement. The artifact has somehow unlocked capabilities that even the most advanced species in the Assembly don't possess. President Reyes leaned forward, his expression guarded. "A single superweapon won't deter the entire collective. We need to understand what's happening to Chen, and whether it can be replicated." "Chen doesn't believe replication is possible," Admiral Kwan replied. According to her, the artifact was designed to activate only under specific genetic conditions, but she's working with our scientists to understand the principles behind her abilities. Even partial insights could revolutionize our defense technology. Defense Minister Liu shook his head. "We don't have time. Intelligence reports indicate the Trescian main fleet has changed course, heading directly for the Arcturus colony. They'll arrive within days. Arcturus, humanity's most distant outpost, was home to nearly 500,000 colonists. It was also strategically vital, housing research facilities that had produced some of Earth's most significant technological breakthroughs in recent years. President Reyes turned to the holographic display showing fleet dispositions. "Can we evacuate?" "Not in time," Admiral Kwan admitted, "and our defense fleet would be annihilated before it could engage." "Then we deploy Chen," the president decided, his voice heavy with the weight of necessity. "If she's willing." Zara stood in the observatory dome of the research vessel Prometheus, watching stars streak past as they traveled at maximum FTL toward Arcturus. The transformation of her body had stabilized somewhat, though the luminous patterns beneath her skin still pulsed with cosmic energy. She could feel the ship's systems humming around her, sense the thoughts and emotions of the crew. A constant background noise she was learning to filter. Dr. Eliza Kagawa, Earth's leading quantum physicist, studied readings on her tablet as sensors monitored Zora's condition. "Your ability to manipulate space-time contradicts everything we understand about physics," she said, not bothering to hide her scientific excitement. "You're essentially accessing a layer of reality we've only theorized about." Zara smiled faintly. It was always there. Humans just lacked the senses to perceive it. "But why you?" Dr. Kagawa asked, the question that had been on everyone's mind. "Why did the artifact choose you specifically?" Zara turned her gaze inward, accessing memories and knowledge that seemed to come from beyond herself. "It wasn't random. My great-grandfather was part of the first deep space expedition to Alpha Centauri. Something happened there that was never recorded in official reports. The artifact recognized his genetic marker in me." Before she could elaborate, Admiral Kwan entered the observatory, her expression grave. "We've received updated intelligence. The Trescian fleet has been joined by Daxian and Kavor battle groups. They're treating this as a unified action against human expansion." Zara nodded slowly. The galaxy's dominant powers were making a statement. Humanity's challenge to the established order would be crushed decisively. "How many ships?" she asked. "Over 300 combat vessels," the admiral replied. "More firepower than Earth's combined forces could generate in a century." Zara felt fear then, not for herself, but for what might be required of her. She had barely begun to understand her abilities, let alone their limits. "I can't fight a war alone, Admiral." "We're not asking you to," Admiral Kwan said, though her eyes betrayed the desperation behind her words. "Just buy our people time to evacuate." But they both knew evacuation was a false hope. The vastness of space offered no refuge against enemies who controlled every habitable system within reach. The Arcturus colony spread across the surface of a terraformed moon, its gleaming domes and towers home to generations who had never seen Earth. As the alien armada appeared at the system's edge, panic erupted. Evacuation ships launched in chaotic waves, carrying only a fraction of the population. The Prometheus arrived barely ahead of the invasion fleet, taking position near the colony's orbital defense platform, a woefully inadequate structure against what was coming. Zara stood in the ship's airlock, preparing to venture into space once more. Admiral Kwan approached, offering her hand in a formal gesture that conveyed both respect and acknowledgement of potential sacrifice. "Whatever happens out there," the admiral said, "you've already given humanity something we haven't had in decades: hope." Zara clasped the older woman's hand briefly. "If I don't return, find my logs on the Cirrus 9 server. There's information there about what really happened to my great-grandfather. It might lead to more artifacts." Then she stepped into the void, her body immediately surrounded by the now familiar nimbus of cosmic energy. As she accelerated toward the approaching armada, Zara extended her consciousness, her transformed senses perceiving the vast fleet in ways no human instrument could. She felt the alien minds within those ships, not just Trescians, but dozens of species united in common purpose. Some were driven by political calculation, others by genuine fear of human potential, still others by simple prejudice against evolutionary newcomers. Few questioned whether their cause was just. The extermination of less developed species was simply the natural order of their universe. Zara reached the midpoint between the colony and the approaching fleet, then stopped, suspended in the emptiness. She had no battle plan, no strategy beyond a desperate hope that a display of power might convince them to reconsider. Drawing on the cosmic energy flowing through her transformed cells, she created a barrier, a shimmering wall of distorted space-time that stretched for thousands of kilometers. The alien fleet slowed as their sensors detected the anomaly. After a brief hesitation, the forward vessels opened fire, unleashing weapons that could shatter planets. The barrier absorbed the assault, rippling like water but holding firm. A communication signal pierced the barrier, and Zara allowed it through. The face that appeared in her mind was that of Supreme Commander Vex Full of the Trescian Collective, his crystalline features arranged in what passed for condescension in his species. An impressive display, human. The translated voice echoed in her consciousness, but ultimately futile. One anomalous individual cannot change the natural order. Your species has reached beyond its rightful place in the cosmic hierarchy. Zara projected her response directly into the communication system. There is no rightful place, Commander. Evolution doesn't respect artificial hierarchies. Evolution is precisely what condemns you, Vex Full countered. Your species lacks the innate abilities that define sentient dominance, telepathic capacity, natural longevity, spontaneous genetic adaptation. You are biological accidents that achieved space travel through crude technology, rather than inherent capability. As he spoke, dozens of specialized ships moved to flanking positions, deploying technology designed to analyze and counteract her barrier. Zara sensed their approach, feeling the probing energies as they sought weaknesses in her defense. "Stand down, Commander," she warned. "I don't want to harm your people." The alien's crystalline features shifted in what might have been amusement. "Your compassion is exactly why your species will fall. The universe rewards strength, not mercy." At his signal, the fleet attacked simultaneously from multiple vectors. This time, they deployed weapons that targeted the fabric of space-time itself. Technology designed to collapse unstable regions into artificial singularities. Against conventional defenses, such weapons were unstoppable. Zara felt the assault tearing at her barrier, at the very integrity of space around her. Pain lanced through her transformed body as she struggled to maintain the defense. For a moment, doubt overwhelmed her. Perhaps they were right. Perhaps humanity truly was outmatched in this unforgiving cosmos. Then something unexpected happened. As her conscious control faltered under the strain, deeper layers of her transformed mind awakened. Knowledge embedded by the artifact unfurled within her, not just power, but understanding that transcended her individual identity. In that moment of crisis, Zara Chen glimpsed the true nature of the cosmos and humanity's place within it. Her barrier didn't collapse. Instead, it transformed, expanding outward in fractal patterns of increasing complexity. The alien weapons, rather than breaching her defenses, found their energy absorbed and redistributed through dimensions they couldn't perceive. Zara's consciousness expanded with the barrier, touching the minds of every being in the invasion fleet, not to harm them, but to show them something they had never considered, a vision of cosmic evolution that extended beyond their limited conceptions of hierarchy and dominance. In that shared mental space, she revealed the truth. The artifacts weren't weapons or tools. They were tests, left scattered throughout the galaxy by a civilization that had evolved beyond physical form eons ago. Tests designed to identify species with the potential to transcend their biological limitations and join a community of consciousness that existed beyond conventional spacetime. The revelation struck the alien commanders like a physical blow. Their certainty crumbled as they realized they had spent millennia enforcing a cosmic order that was, itself, merely a developmental stage rather than an endpoint. They had judged humanity as primitive because humans lacked innate psychic abilities or extended lifespans, never recognizing that these traits were themselves evolutionary dead ends compared to the cognitive flexibility that allowed humans to imagine beyond their biological constraints. Among the entire galactic community, only humanity had activated the artifacts. Not because humans were superior, but because they possessed a unique combination of traits: imagination unconstrained by instinct, adaptability born from biological imperfection, and a willingness to transform beyond their original design. The battle never happened. As Zara's consciousness returned to her physical form, the alien fleet remained in position, weapons powered down. On the command ships, leaders of a dozen advanced civilizations convened in emergency session, their understanding of the cosmic order fundamentally altered. Admiral Kwan watched in astonishment as Zara returned to the Prometheus, the luminescence beneath her skin now a constant glow that pulsed in complex patterns. "What did you do out there?" the Admiral asked, noting that the younger woman's eyes now contained swirling galaxies of light. "I showed them the truth," Zara replied, her voice resonating with harmonics that hadn't been present before. "And now they need to decide what to do with it." Within days, representatives from Earth were invited to an unprecedented summit on neutral territory. The Galactic Assembly, that bastion of ancient prejudice, was disbanded. In its place arose a new council, where humanity sat as equals among species thousands of years their senior. Not all accepted this new reality willingly. Some advocated for humanity's destruction, regardless of consequences, fearing the implications of the artifact's revelations. Others sought to study humans, to identify what had allowed them to succeed where more advanced species had failed. But the majority recognized a fundamental truth: the cosmos was vaster and stranger than any single species' conception. The true measure of evolutionary fitness wasn't dominance, but transformation. The ability to become something greater than biological origins would suggest possible. 1 year later, Earth had established the Transcendence Institute, where humans with genetic markers similar to Zara's worked with scientists to understand the principles behind cosmic integration. Though none manifested abilities as dramatic as hers, many showed promising signs of enhanced perception and limited energy manipulation. Zara herself had changed beyond recognition. Though she maintained human form when interacting with her own kind, her consciousness now existed primarily in dimensions beyond conventional spacetime. She had become humanity's ambassador to realms of existence that their former galactic oppressors hadn't even imagined. On the anniversary of first contact, she met with President Reyes in the Oval Office, her presence causing subtle distortions in the air as higher dimensional energies leaked into physical space. The artifacts weren't left randomly, she explained, confirming what she had glimpsed during the confrontation at Arcturus. They were positioned specifically where evolving species might find them. My great-grandfather encountered one on Alpha Centauri, but wasn't genetically compatible. It simply marked his lineage, waiting for a descendant who could complete the integration. "And there are more?" the president asked. Zara nodded, her movement leaving trails of luminous energy in the air, scattered throughout human territory. "Now that one has activated, the others will become detectable to those with the right genetic profile." "What does this mean for humanity's future?" Reyes asked, the weight of his responsibility evident in his voice. Zara smiled, an expression both human and somehow more. "It means we're not at the end of our evolutionary journey, but at the beginning. The artifacts aren't weapons to protect us from other species. They're keys to unlock what we were always meant to become." She rose, her form beginning to shimmer as she prepared to transition back to the higher dimensions that had become her home. The galaxy once laughed at humanity's primitive status. Now they watch and wonder, questioning everything they thought they knew about evolution and consciousness. Before departing, she placed a small crystal on the president's desk, a fragment of her original transformation, containing information that would guide humanity's next steps. "We were never meant to conquer the stars," Zara said, her form now barely corporeal. "We were meant to become them." With those words, she vanished, leaving behind only a brief flicker of cosmic light and a future where humanity's place in the universe would never again be questioned. In the depths of space, ancient intelligences that had observed the galaxy for millions of years noted humanity's first transcendence with interest. The test had been passed more quickly than expected. The next phase could begin.